South Korea's acting president is warning of an unprecedented situation for his country as it battles the worst wildfires in its history. At least 24 people have been killed, with dozens more injured. Around 23,000 people have been ordered to leave their homes since the fires took hold in the southeastern region on Friday. A historic 300-year-old temple is among the buildings that have been destroyed. Acting President Han Duck-soo said the seriousness of the fires was rewriting the record books with persistent strong winds, hampering the emergency response. A total of 128 helicopters, 1,100 military personnel, 3,000 firefighters, 1,100 firefighting crews, and 4,500 public officials have been mobilized for firefighting efforts. Helicopters from the U.S. military stations in South Korea have been deployed to provide support. Every possible resource is being utilized to contain the wildfires. Rachel Lee has the latest from the capital Seoul. This is being called one of the worst wildfire disasters South Korea has ever faced. It all kicked off in Uiseong County, but with winds blowing at nearly 27 meters per second, the flames just quickly spread to places like Andong City and Cheong County, and so far over 17 hectares of forest have gone up in smoke. 28,000 people had to evacuate and are now staying in shelters like schools and local gyms, and dozens of homes were burned down, and even wooden temples and historic treasures took damage as well. The government's gone into full emergency mode, so close to 5 zero personnel, including firefighters, soldiers, police, and other crews have been sent in to help, and over 80 helicopters have been deployed, focusing mainly on protecting residential areas from being hit. But between the warm weather and those powerful winds, as you said, it's been tough going, and the Prime Minister said that this is a national crisis and everything possible is being done, whether that's emergency funding, supplies for evacuees, or support for people who've lost homes. They're also promising to take a hard look at how these fires are handled going forward. And officials haven't confirmed the cause yet, but there's suspicion that some of the fires may have started from people burning trash. A common but risky habit in rural areas. Fires do happen here, especially in the dry spring months. But nothing like this. It's really rare to see wildfires lead to this many deaths in Korea, and what's made this one so intense is the mix of dry air, strong winds, and warmer than usual weather. And to give some context, the biggest wildfire on record was in 2000, which burned nearly 24,000 hectares and left 2 people dead, and the 2022 fire was slightly smaller with 1 death, and now this current one ranks 3rd in size. As I said, 70,000 hectares, but it's the deadliest now. The government's taking about tougher rules on things like illegal burning, better emergency alerts, and faster response systems. So this kind of disaster doesn't repeat itself. I speak to Andrew Salmon, who's Asia correspondent at the Washington Times, who joins us now from Seoul. Andrew, we're just hearing that these fires are uncommon, but how well equipped is South Korea to deal with them? Well, you'd expect a technological powerhouse like South Korea to be ready to deal with this kind of thing. And as your report said just a little bit earlier, these kind of fires are not uncommon. But what is uncommon is the extraordinary weather conditions. Almost eerie weather conditions. I've been living here for 25 years. And I've never seen anything quite like this. You know, we're not in the Middle East, this is Northeast Asia. But I was driving in the countryside yesterday, surprisingly high winds which were actually raising, because the ground now is so dry, sort of dust devils, almost mini sandstorms, which I've never seen before. So in terms of deploying personnel, we've got 5, 0 plus some pairs of boots on the ground. I've read 146 helicopters, but this is, a highly, highly unusual situation. What's the weather forecast? Like the weather, as far as I'm aware, is for the next few days similar to what we're looking at now. And of course, this raises a huge national crisis is looming as one of Korea's greatest cultural treasures. I'd say one of the country's top 5 tourist attractions is now within about 5 kilometers of this fire, And of course, the fatalities that we've seen, that is unusual, thankfully, but that must be very shocking to the South Korean people to see these people die. It absolutely is. We don't normally anticipate deaths in wildfires. I should add at least one of the deaths so far has been from a helicopter pilot who crashed while on firefighting duty. So, let's not underestimate the extraordinary unusualness of these conditions. This is not by any means expected. I'm tempted to say it's not. Precedented, the burning of waste illegally has been cited as problematic. What is the government signaling they might do about that? We're not hearing about prosecutions as far as I'm aware at this point. People are much more focused on crisis control. But if you go to the Korean countryside, the older generation of Koreans do have a habit of burning stuff. Younger Koreans who are perhaps more au fait with green issues and countryside pursuits don't do this. But again, if you go to many rural areas, it's very common to see fires burning. In sort of the corners of farms. Andrew, we appreciate you speaking to us. Thank you very much, Andrew Salmon from the Washington Times in Seoul. BU UKK News.